What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another Classic WoW video for Season of Discovery Phase 4. Now today we have a brand new video by the Blizzard, the World of Warcraft YouTube channel from the Classic WoW developer team. This is a Phase 4 preview for Season of Discovery, and yeah, we're going to take a look at this video today. I'm going to be reacting a little bit, talking a little bit, and before I even watch the video at all, I really hope there are some release dates here. Now, I've been speculating in the past, both on stream and also in different videos, I think, as well, on a release date, and I was expecting in July. Well, not 16th, so July 11th or July 18th. One of these two dates has always been my personal guess, so let's see if I'm right. I think last time I did say that I thought it was going to be July 18th, but my first guess was July 11th, so I'm really hoping one of those is true. Now, we have July 4th as well, and the reason why I'm saying Thursdays here is that in the past, phases for Seasonal Discovery usually launch on Thursdays. Now, July 4th is a national holiday or an American holiday, so nothing is happening on this day, but July 11th, 18th, or possibly even the 25th. I really hope it isn't the 25th. 11th or 18th would be perfect though. So let's take a look at this video. Let's take a look at all they have to preview here for the next phase, and let's dive right into it. Alright, here we go.
Hi everyone, I'm Clay Stone, Associate Production Director of WoW Classic. Welcome to our Season of Discovery Phase 4
Okay, this
preview.
is lagging like crazy though. Let me see if I can fix this somehow, make it lag a little bit less.
It is time. At long last, we're raising the level cap to 60 and jumping into the endgame. For those of you who have been playing since launch, thank you for going on this journey with us. And to those of you just jumping in, now that the full level up experience is available, you've picked a great time to join us. I also want to give a massive shout out to everyone who has hopped into our first ever Season of Discovery PTR to help us test and tune all of the changes and additions coming to classes. Your feedback has been invaluable in helping us prepare for what's ahead. That said, even though the PTR was focused on classes, we know many of our eagle-eyed players saw hints at the content changes we're making to Endgame, and it's time for us to talk about some of those today. So, let's take a look at what we'll be covering. We'll kick things off with content at 60, then jump into raid information, followed by some important itemization updates, then dive into world event updates as well as some system updates, and more, which you're definitely going to want to stick around for. Alright, so whether you're already familiar with Classic era content, or you're experiencing it for the first time with Season of Discovery, or you just want a refresher, raising the level cap to 60 brings with it a ton of new content and things to do, including access to all WoW Classic zones like the Burning Steppes, Eastern and Western Plaguelands, Silithus, and Winterspring. You'll also be able to finally max out your character talents. In addition, the Aldrich Valley Battleground will also be unlocked. Epic mounts will be available to collect, and more. Also, all of the classic dungeons will now be available, including Scholomance, Strathholm, all three wings of Dire Maul, and Blackrock Spire. And because the bosses have stopped spending their time in Phase 3 socializing in the Grim Guzzler Tavern, the second half of the massive Blackrock Depths dungeon. In addition, there just might be one more dungeon surprise we're not going to talk about today, but we're excited for players to discover. Switching gears to a quick note about runes, since we've had the PTR up for the past few weeks, none of the runes... Please, Karasan Crypts. Dungeon Surprise? Dungeon Surprise. Karasan Crypts. Come on. For once, please. Dude, that would be great. Once again, I've been waiting for new content. Would be great. And I'm just gonna say it, I've been a little bit of a doomer recently for SOD, but the thing is, they've been holding back on this for so long, and Phase 3 has been dragging out so far, and once again, I'm still waiting on a release date here. I'm guessing that's in the middle or at the end of the video, but I'm hoping it doesn't crash too much with the War Within. Now, I know that not every Classic WoW player wants to play the War Within, but I do, and I think there's a couple of people in the same boat as me where we want to try out the new retail expansion, which is now 1.5, or I guess basically 2 months away. So 1.5 or 2 months away. So
I hope it doesn't crash too much with that. And not only that, but I have to go back to retail as well to prep for the brand new expansion. So I'm not going to be able to play Phase 4 that much. I'm going to be able to play Phase 4 for a couple of weeks, like no live play Phase 4, right, for a couple of weeks. And I'm hoping they have some good content in store that we don't have to grind forever to get to. And Dungeon Surprise, that to me sounds really exciting. And once again, I'm getting really hyped here for maybe Karazhan Crypt, but at the same time, I don't want to give myself that level of hype, because the more hyped I am and the less I receive, the more let down I'll be. I'm gonna join Phase 4 and look at Phase 4, but I'm going to be really reserved on my hype for Phase 4 in general.
Runes are a complete secret, so we aren't going to be spending a lot of time in this presentation talking about runes or classes. However, we will be posting a rundown of new runes and class adjustments separately from this video, so please check the official World of Warcraft forums for that. Moving on to raids. As we previously announced, the Molten Core raid will be scaled down to 20 players and will contain adjustments to the boss encounters across the 11 bosses for you to take on. Just gonna leave that there. We are very excited for everyone to hop in and get their hands on the brand new revamped Tier 1 sets that now have multiple variants for different specializations and playstyles that each class has access to. Tier sets aren't the only place we've made.
Wait, 11 bosses? 11 bosses? How many bosses are there usually in Molten Core? Molten Core boss numbers. There's no way. Molten Core has 10 bosses, that's what I thought as well. So Molten Core has 10 bosses, ending in the final boss of Ragnaros. So that means there's one more boss somewhere. Okay. I must say, there's no way the next boss, like the one extra boss, is after Ragnaros. There's just no way the final boss is not Ragnaros. But what would an extra boss be? If any of you guys have any thoughts about that, like any theories of what an additional boss in Molten Core would be, please let me know in the comments down below, because like that raid is packed. Where would the boss even be? Maybe like, I don't know, a magma boss from Cataclysm in the lava somewhere. So like a magma boss. Or maybe they take some inspiration here from Sulgurub, where you have to fish up the magma boss as well. So you need someone with fishing, with maybe a specific lure, to then fish up in the lava pool, or like in the lava in Molten Core. You need to throw the lure in, or fish with that specific lure, and then you can summon a brand new boss, which would be like a magma boss or a lava fish or something. I don't know. Let me know your creative thoughts in the comments.
Improvements, with many non-set items also getting a hefty overhaul as well. Lastly, we are excited to announce that we will be having a scalable difficulty system in Molten Core, allowing players to turn up the heat inside and face ever-growing challenges.
Yeah, that's a heat
Some
thing.
aspects of this system were visible on the PTR, and we've enjoyed listening to speculation and, most importantly, your comments and feedback around this new difficulty system and the potential reward structure. As we've been listening to this feedback, we've wanted to let you know that raising the heat level will not affect the quality of rewards. The quality will remain consistent as the difficulty goes up. Instead,
my guild, we talked about this in our guild raid yesterday, that we were talking about the increased difficulty of Molten Core, and I thought it would be really weird if they increased the item level of drops from increasing the difficulty. So we started talking about, what if they just increase the quantity? So heat level 2, you get 3 extra items per boss, and heat level 3, or like the next heat level, you get 5 items extra per boss, just to like throw some numbers out there. Now in reality it's probably going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 more items per boss, right? But it's just the harder content you do, the more raid loot you get. Now the question here is, will that more raid loot also mean a higher drop chance for legendaries? Because that drop chance is basically static. That's a question here. But for the most part, this means that if you are a good guild, you want to do the highest heat level you can to get the most gear as quickly as you can, but it won't affect the quality of the gear. This is good. This is like overall a good thing.
it will increase the quantity of rewards, making some of the more valuable drops in the raid appear more often. In general, we don't want to heavily gate the best quality gear behind high difficulty content in Season of Discovery, as we really just don't think that's what the season is about. But if you do want to push yourself, you will find additional challenges and perhaps be able to gear up a tiny bit faster. Onyxia's lair has also seen some significant loot overhauls as well. And while Onyxia has misplaced her stockpile of tier 2 helms, she is going to have plenty of juicy loot for you to chase in its place. We are also taking a new approach for raid size with Onyxia, as she will ultimately be tuned to be completed with 20 players, but the allowable raid size is up to 40 players.
Ooh.
We love 40 player raiding, but we think it ultimately works best as a soda and pretzels type of content. In other words, the same level of difficulty you come to expect from Classic. So, if you are forming a pickup group and want to ensure quick success, you can bring 40 players. But if you are running with your guild, 20 players may make more sense to maximize your rewards. World bosses have had an...
Yeah, so it's tuned for 20 people, and Onyxia will have the same amount of health, even if you're 20 or 40 people, based on my understanding here, and the more loot you want to have, the more you want to just bring 20 people. And yeah, it's scaled for 20 people, basically. It's tuned for 20 people, and based on what I'm reading here and understanding, having 40 people would just be a way to faster kill the boss, but also get less loot for your efforts.
Interesting history in World of Warcraft, particularly in early versions of WoW, where they were hotly contested and created flashpoints for, let's say, interesting player interactions. While we love this intense competition in Classic 2019, one drawback to the content is that due to its limited availability, it tended to be content that most players never got to meaningfully interact with. We aim to make it a bit more accessible in Season of Discovery by instancing the content off and handling it similarly to what we just discussed with Onyxia.
Yeah, this I'm seeing very conflicted results about, and here's the thing. World bosses in Classic WoW are so iconic because they're world bosses in Classic WoW. In every version of WoW since, they haven't really been the same, especially if you go to Cataclysm, where do we even have world bosses? That's like Bard and Hold or something. Where you start getting world bosses again in Mist of Pandaria, for example, they are just never the same as they were in Classic WoW. Even in TBC, they're not really the same, even though they're somewhat similar. In Classic WoW, the world bosses are just a completely different thing, and if you want to experience world bosses in Classic WoW, you just have to experience it in Classic WoW. A guild, for example, would camp these world bosses for days on end. They would have shifts in Discord where you always have some people camping certain raid bosses or world bosses and being ready to summon, and then you call everyone in the guild, you have alarms set up, you wake up in the middle of the night, you kill these world bosses. It's just insane. And doing this, instancing the world bosses, it has some pros and cons. Well, let's just start with the con. You are functionally removing what world bosses used to be in Classic WoW. You're taking that away and turning it into a one boss raid. So basically world bosses in phase 4 will be like Onyxia, where they are now instanced, and every guild and every raid group will have their own world boss. Instead of it being a world boss, they're no longer world bosses. Just take the world boss name out of the equation. They are now a one instance raid like Onyxia. So they're taking away world bosses. Now, the pro here is that you will not have to fight versus the top sweaty tryhards for those world boss tags. There will not be massive PvP for those world boss tags and kills. And overall, just less struggle, less hassle, less frustrations as well. And everyone will have the ability to get their loot from the world boss. Instead of you competing for the world boss, everyone gets world bosses. Now, for the most part, I don't know, this feels like it's a good and a bad thing. It really depends on which side you're on here. There are definitely sides, and number one, once again, everyone gets their world boss, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It just depends on how you look at it. It's welfare epics, which is a reason why people went back to Classic WoW in the first place, because retail throws welfare epics at you. Even Wrath Classic threw welfare epics at you from all the catch-up systems they had, and the Defiler Scourge Stones, Heroic Plus, Alpha, Beta, Gamma dungeons, stuff like that. It's just welfare epics, and in Classic WoW you just didn't have that. Now everything is instanced, everyone has access to it. It's leaning more in the welfare epics direction to me, which could be a bad thing, but once again could also be a good thing. Just depends on how you look at it. Either way, let's continue.
Raids will be tuned for 20, but can be done with up to 40 players to make it friendly to both organized groups and pickup groups. Related to these changes, and to talk all things loot, I'll turn it over to our lead engineer on Classic, Nora Valletta. Take it away, Nora.
Thanks, Clay. We're excited to share some of the cool new loot you'll find in Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. First, let's check out some of the new dungeon loot you'll find in Phase 4. We've got Iron Foe, which has had its level increased to 58 and now grants 18 attack power when equipped. Next, we've got Idol of Exsanguination, which causes your Lacerate ticks to energize you for 5 rage. Totem of the Plains reduces the cast time of your Healing Rain spell by 100%. Taking inspiration from players using the 3-piece set in Sunken Temple for Shamans, we thought it might feel bad to completely lose that set bonus as an option. Having it be a totem you can swap on and off for fights made a lot of sense here. Burst of Knowledge has had its item level increased to 58, its spell power increased, and its active cooldown reduced from 15 minutes down to 5 minutes. Finally, we've got Libram of Holy Alacrity, which causes Holy Shock to reduce the cast time of your next 2 Holy Lights by 0.2 seconds. Our classic Tier 0 dungeon and Tier 0.5 dungeon upgrade sets have seen a full overhaul as well. In original WoW, a basic dungeon set of 8 items dropped in max level dungeons, and an epic quest chain was introduced in later patches to upgrade those items into a higher quality version of that set. In Season of Discovery, this is still true, but the upgrade quest chain will be available right at the launch of Phase 4, and each class is now able to choose between multiple dungeon upgrade set items that accommodate multiple class specializations as they move through the quest chain. While you will have to choose which variation of each set you want during the quest line, the other variants will be obtainable via gold and other means once the quest chain is complete, so you will have access to every set for your class if you want to try them all. These sets were testable on the PTR, and we've had a blast watching people get excited about both the new stats and appearances of these sets as well. But what about raid loot? Here's a quick look at a few of the items from Molten Core. First up, we've got an awesome looking Elemental Shaman shield called Earth and Fire. Looks similar to the rank 14 PvP shield, but with a distinct new color variation. We've got Magmadar's right and left claw, which allow you to summon core hounds to aid you in combat.
What the fuck?
The set bonus actually allows you to transform into Magmadar for a brief period of time. But how about Faithbringer, a two-handed paladin?
No. We're not just skipping over that, dude. You're a small chance on melee hit to summon to call forth a core hound. Dude, just for the RP element, I want this. Just for the RP element. So this is not only for shamans, right? Or am I being crazy here? If this also is for melee hunters, I'm rolling a melee hunter and I'm grabbing these items. This is mine, I want it, I want to be a role player now. That's insane. And also the way they look, like the look of these, the Magmator's left and right claw, it's so great. 2-set bonus summoning core hounds, 3-set bonus small chance on melee hit to call forth the spirit of Magmadar to assist you in battle. Oi. Yeah, no, I need these. I don't know, this is great.
A brief period of time. But how about Faithbringer, a two-handed paladin weapon for healing? Or Key to the City, a caster staff from Onyxia. Finally, Obsidian Edgeblade, which has been changed from a +8 to two-handed swords to a +3. We've added 1% crit with those stats and made it just a tad slower. Our dungeon sets won't be the only color variations you'll see in Phase 4. Here are some of the cool Tier 1 color variations we've got coming soon. Next, why don't we spend a few minutes talking about world events? The Blood Moon is not seeing any major adjustments for Phase 4 and will not be a vector for new items or player power, but it will continue to happen on its normal timer. We wanted to mention this because we are nearing level 60, which means that players will soon have access to the highest level PvP rewards, and many players will be ranking up to get them. In order to help with the honor gain process, we're introducing a new Blood Moon currency in Phase 4. When the new currency is introduced, Bloodstained commendations will have had their cost reduced from 1 silver coin to 25 copper coins. We envision Blood Moon carrying on as an evergreen supplement to the normal PvP honor ranking process. If you'd like to interrupt your BG queues for a bit of quick, chaotic world PvP, my favorite, you and your group can venture into Stranglethorn Vale during the Blood Moon and supplement your honor farm. Next, we're making some significant adjustments to Nightmare Incursions, shifting the mission quests over to a simpler daily quest format. We really love the overall theming of Nightmare Incursions, but think these adjustments will help make them feel like an optional supplement to normal leveling, rather than the be-all, end-all leveling activity for all new characters. As a result of this format change, we are also planning to tone down the difficulty of some of the creatures within Nightmare Incursions to make these quests a bit more solo-friendly. The experience gained from these activities will cap out at level 53 as well, but the quests will remain available through level 60, should you desire to earn a reputation. Overall, we learned a lot of great lessons for Nightmare Incursions, which we plan on carrying forward for any
I'm sure you did.
future events. And speaking of future events, for Phase 4's outdoor event, we've taken a few of the lessons learned from previous events and are applying them to a new, more lightweight outdoor event, the Black Rock Eruption. This event will occur every 2 hours and see additional spawns, daily quest content, opportunities for reputation gain, and increased honor rewards from World PvP. Outside of Blackrock Mountain, the forces of the Fire Lord are wreaking havoc. Join the Thorium Brotherhood in repelling these attacks with new daily quests to help grow your reputation with the Thorium Brotherhood and earn quicker access to powerful crafting recipes and other rewards. Inside the mountain, you'll find your blood is running extra hot, causing you to gain bonus honor only within the mountain itself. As for reputation, we are adding brand new upgraded versions of the existing crafted rewards from Thorium Brotherhood, Argent Dawn, Timbermaw Hold, and Hydraxian Waterlords. We've also got some really cool for fun items that allow you to teleport to Ajara, lay a fire resist area of effect that your allies can stand in, or turn you into a water elemental. You'll be able to place these for fun items on your keyring, saving you some valuable bag space.
Nice.
Anyways, I've got some rep to farm, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass things off to our senior producer, Josh Greenfield, who'll be happy to share some of our upcoming systems updates.
Thanks, Nora. Going into Phase 4, we've made a few significant system updates we're excited to share. First up, we took a lot of the lessons we've learned from the Wild Offerings currency and have expanded on that system with a new deterministic currency we're calling Tarnished Undermine Reals. You can start earning these coins from most non-rare spawn dungeon bosses over level 55, and each boss will drop a single currency for each player in the group once per day per boss. This currency can be used to purchase a variety of things, such as rare crafting recipes, crafting materials, powerful gear, as well as a variety of other valuable items. We've gotten a lot of feedback from players asking for ways to keep dungeon content relevant longer, and this is one way we're looking at keeping dungeon runs feeling rewarding at level 60. We're also particularly excited about a brand new feature to World of Warcraft called...
You know, what I really took away from that and what I'm really happy about is he said once per day per boss, right? Which means that you are incentivized to, instead of just spamming the same dungeon over and over again to find the fastest and the best ways to farm these, you're incentivized to just do everything, which makes everything more attractive, more lucrative, and easier to find groups. I think that's great. I also stopped him at a bad time here, apparently.
Classic, a twice-weekly raid lockout system. One bit of feedback we got early on was that 3-day lockouts on raids was difficult for guild leaders to manage due to the inconsistency of when reset days occurred. In Sunken Temple, we moved the lockout to weekly to add a bit more stability, but we always wanted to revisit this to see if there was a way for us to provide the increased cadence and content availability that the 3-day lockout provided, but with a bit more stability and predictability to help with better raid planning. The twice-weekly lockout accomplishes this by having raids using this lockout interval reset twice a week on static reset days. For example, in North America, twice-weekly raids will reset on Tuesday and Saturday mornings. We plan to use this lockout interval for all of the raids in Phase 4. We feel that with the pace of Season of Discovery, this is a great step forward to allow you to raid more if you choose to. At this point, we're approaching the home stretch, but we do have a few more updates to share before we close things out. With Phase 4 and the increase to level 60, players will begin having access to max level world buff effects. In Season of Discovery, we're also planning to add an alliance equivalent to Warchief's Blessing, the Might of Stormwind. As fun as it was to skulk around the crossroads on our alliance characters, hoping for a kindly priest to mind control us for a chance at...
I've been looking for this. I was 95% sure it was coming. Champ told me about this yesterday, and maybe we get this. But yeah, I was 95% sure that was coming. It just makes too much sense to me. So, Might of Stormwind increases hit points by 300, 15% haste to melee attacks, and 10 mana regen every 5 seconds. I'm a mage main. I will no longer be a mage main. We're going melee, boys. Full on melee.
For kindly priests to mind control us for a chance at Warchief's Blessing, this should make getting your world buffs a bit less cumbersome for Alliance players. As with previous phases, Discoverer's Delight will continue to function from 50 to 59, providing a 50% experience boost in that level range. We've learned a lot of great lessons about leveling, and while we want you to level a little bit faster, there's a lot of content in the 50 to 60 range, and we don't want to totally trivialize the journey in Phase 4, so having a more nominal buff from 50 to 59 makes sense. Characters from 1 through 49 will still enjoy 150% experience increase as well, so it should be super easy to get those alts caught up. Like previous level up raids, Sunken Temple will give a generous amount of XP, so running that while you're leveling could give you a good bump as well. In Phase 4, we plan to allow blacksmiths and leatherworkers to swap their profession specs for a nominal cost. This will not quite be ready for the launch of Phase 4, but we do plan to introduce it a short time later. Perhaps most excitingly, we've done major overhauls to many iconic in-game crafting recipes, with dozens of recipes replaced or given a method to upgrade into even better versions of their original crafted items. First up, we've got the refined Hammer of the Titans, a two-handed mace with 2.0 speed that has a very hefty amount of feral attack power. It also retains its classic 3-second stun proc, which will now proc in druid forms. And who could forget the iconic Arcanite Reaper, newly upgraded and refined into a 4.0 speed powerhouse with improved stats and a very fancy new classicified glow. These are just 2 examples out of many iconic crafting recipes to receive major glow-ups in Phase 4, so get out there and get crafting. Looking to the raid release schedule, in a departure from previous phases, we've decided to space out the unlock of raid content following launch. Azergos and Kha'Zix will go live 1 week after launch, with Molten Core and Onyxia the week after that. Phase 4 is going to have a...
Wait, did they show or tell us when it was coming out, and I really just skipped over it earlier in this video? Because here we have raids will be available weeks 2 and 3 of the patch. So week 2 would be July 18th, so the phase is coming out July 11th then. Maybe, dude, maybe I just completely skipped over it, and they just announced it super fast, or super early. So, okay, it's coming out July 11th, and raids will be available weeks 2 and 3. Weeks 2 and 3. So are they... So some raids will be available week 2 and some on week 3? Huh. We'll use the new twice per week, so Tuesday, Saturday for North America. I am then guessing it's going to be Wednesday and Sunday for EU.
Ton of compelling things to do right at 60 with a lot of new and improved loot to chase. We think that this pre-raid gearing phase is one of the best parts about hitting level 60 on a fresh character, and giving that pre-raid best in slot process a bit of time to breathe and giving you some worthwhile goals to accomplish ahead of the raids becoming available is very exciting. Should provide you with a lot of great, satisfying gear progression leading up to those raids becoming available. With that, we are done with today's presentation. We appreciate your patience as we're working diligently to get Phase 4 into your hands. We really appreciate all of the participation in our recent PTR releases, and we continue to consume your feedback as we're finishing things up for Phase 4. As always, the WoW Classic development team is incredibly grateful for your support. Thank you for playing with us, and thank you for your feedback and participating and helping us develop this season. We'll see you again when Season of Discovery Phase 4 goes live on July 11th, 2024.
There we go, July 11th, baby. Phase 4 in July 11th. How much is that from today? Is that like 2 weeks away? That is legitimately exactly 2 weeks away. So 2 weeks away from me both reacting to this and uploading the video, Phase 4 is out and we can play Phase 4. Now, no matter how much I've been talking negatively about the current state of Phase 3 and what I've been seeing in Phase 4, I'm going to play Phase 4, especially when it comes out this much apart from the War Within. I don't have to deep dive into the War Within just yet, and I'm playing Cataclysm, raid logging, I've even stopped raiding. because of some guild drama that I'm not going to get into, but I've stopped raiding. I'm still doing my dailies, leveling some alts, playing Cataclysm, right? I'm going to be deep diving back into SOD. I've been playing SOD for 3 weeks now, doing raids, gearing up my feral just in case. So I have my mage, have my feral, have a couple of other level 50s. I say a couple, I have 10 level 50s, a little bit too many, but at least we have a good pool of characters to choose from. 2 of them are mages though, so we'll see if mages are good. Based on the PTR, they have been pretty good, but I mean, level 60 content. Melees just benefit so much from world buffs that maybe we have to go melee. Maybe it's time to bring back the feral from phase 1. Either way, that was a lengthy video talking about phase 4 and a bunch of information. Now, what I would love to hear more about was the raid unlocking schedule, which he didn't really get into. Maybe I'm just being dumb, which well, I probably am, but raids will be available weeks 2 and 3 of the patch, July 18th and July 25th. Now, maybe Wowhead has a follow-up post about this, maybe Blizzard as well has a follow-up post, so let's just go and check. Yeah, so going through this right here real quick, Wowhead does have a power post about this. It's a blue post from Blizzard, reposted on Wowhead. Experience Lord Classic and the Shurigos on July 18th, 1 PM PDT globally as a brand new instant versions of these encounters. So basically the world bosses, which are no longer world bosses, they will be available starting July 18th. And yeah, so those are those 2. And then we have Prepare to take on Ragnaros and Onyxia in their lairs, July 25th. Okay, so July 18th you have the world boss opening, which are now not world bosses anymore, but the old world bosses now being instanced. You can start doing those on week 2, and then you have Molten Core and Onyxia on week 3. I mean, to be honest, that's pretty good. It gives people time to level without feeling the need to rush, and without the FOMO, without fear of missing out. Because the thing about leveling, you feel like you're missing out, and they had to talk about this in phase 2 and even phase 3 about why they wanted to hold back on the release of the first raid reset, or push it as much as they could to give people time to level up. Especially when we had, for example, phase 2, we had the 3-day lockout schedule. You were kind of incentivized to level up fast to get benefits from doing the raid, the first lockout. So they had to extend that lockout and not start the lockouts before. They gave you like a week to level up, right? So this is great. No more fear of missing out. You can take your time, level up, and you have 1 week to start doing the world bosses and 2 weeks to get ready for Molten Core. Overall, pretty good, and I'm happy about the July 11th release date as well. Gives me some time to, well, play and prep. Either way, that's the video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed me talking about this and reacting for half an hour, and if you stayed through the entire thing, let me know in the comments down below. I really do appreciate you, and once again, let me know your thoughts on everything phase 4 in the comments as well. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.